No worries, I got you covered. This one happened when I was serving as a mechanic in the military. Our unit was deployed on a domestic op for disaster relief. We had about 90 vehicles that made the drive, and it took 3 long days of driving to get there. For anyone not familiar with old military vehicles from the 90s, they are definitely an uncomfortable ride and don't go very fast. Each vehicle had 2 assigned drivers that rotated at their own discretion. Anyone not assigned to a vehicle got to ride in comfort either in one of the charter buses or there were a couple flights home. Both options were much more comfortable than driving. The day we arrived, a vehicle was brought to us with a broken rear window, low on the priority list, but still not legally roadworthy. I tagged the side window with a grounded vehicle notice and took the universal key from the vehicle. All our vehicles of the same type have the same key style to switch on the ignition. The doors are never locked because key tracking with the amount of vehicles we have is non-existent. And there's always guards around the compound at night. I noticed the next day before lunch the vehicle wasn't in the compound, but didn't think much of it. I knew it wasn't being worked on because it's a small shop and I manage shop flow. Over the next 3 weeks I noticed it was usually gone at lunch, but was always there when we were shutting the shop down in the evenings. I should mention the mess hall we were eating at was about a 15-minute walk from the compound. Once I noticed a pattern with this vehicle. I sat outside before lunch puffing on a cigar and playing on my phone. I watched the drivers that dropped the vehicle off broken walk up to it, remove my grounded tag, then drive off in the vehicle towards the mess hall. The big red grounded tags are supposedly a chargeable offense if removed by anyone other than a mechanic. But no one at my unit would enforce that, especially because one of the drivers was an officer. So I let it go and made sure no one fixed that window. A couple days before the road move home I saw the lists go out. Everyone who drove out in a vehicle was driving it back home. Everyone else was stuffed on buses and overflow had 3 flights home. Sure enough, that officer and his buddy were on one of the flights because their vehicle was grounded and going home on a flatbed. The day before the flights I went over and screwed some plywood over the window of that vehicle. Then informed his chain of command that his vehicle was roadworthy and needed a driver to go home. There was no available flatbeds. I made sure of that. The officer came down all upset to try and get it on a truck anyway because his flight was tomorrow. But my sergeant was well aware of the situation and told him if his vehicle was roadworthy every day to drive him to the mess hall. Then it was definitely able to get him home. The look on his face was priceless. 3 days of shit driving to save himself 15 minutes of walking a day. This is amazing. Waiting until the very end to get him. And there was nothing he could do to retaliate. If you haven't, you need to post this in our military stories. I'm sure it will be well received there. I think you drove the point home nicely. This is how it's done. Beautiful. I missed out on the hierarchy. Or I pressed my sense of luck and dread on the situation. I was stationed in Germany after about a year and a half in. I reported to the orderly room and the first sergeant looked me over and then told me he was from the county next to where I grew up and knew most of my family. Damn it, man, how far away do you have to get? I was there around 2.5 years. In that length of time he was promoted and left the battery we were in. Got promoted again, was a command sergeant major. Came back to the battalion. And gave me a re-up counseling before I got out. I should have listened. Drive that point home and rotate the blade. Well done. I sat outside before lunch puffing on a cigar and playing on my phone. This was the 1990s? Then you were playing Snake on your phone. Was the officer a second lieutenant? I swear they have no room for common sense in their overblown heads. Face with raised eyebrow, slightly smiling face, upside down face. Man, fuck officers. Fuck that guy. I guess I'm just old. It's been too long since I was in. Somewhere down the line a negative outcome would have rained down on the young enlisted man. Great except for the repercussions.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.